Hey everyone, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. And today is a special video as today college football kicks off today with South Carolina visiting Vanderbilt. Or wait, is it South Carolina visiting Vanderbilt, or is it South Carolina and Vanderbilt play each other today. Anyhow, so college football is kicking off today. So I'm going to cover all 11 conferences and predict who is going to win those conferences. And also probably kind of cover some of the other teams too. As maybe you guys know, last year Alabama was the national champions over LSU. It was an all SEC BCS championship game, and I wasn't too crazy about that but I will say this: the SEC is not going to win the national championship this year. Their streak is over this year. I don't even think they're. I mean, I'm serious. I think there's a better team in college football than any team in the SEC, and I'm going to get to that. Okay. So, to kick things off, I'm going to start from the 5 non-BCS conferences and work my way up. Though I will mention how I think Notre Dame and BYU and Navy and those schools are going to do. Notre Dame and Navy actually are going to be playing in Ireland, and I still don't think Notre Dame's going to be that great this year. They just don't have the guys that they used to way back in the day. Kids are just not going to Notre Dame anymore. So I just don't think Notre Dame or BYU are all going to be that great. BYU is now independent for religious reasons. But maybe they should just go support Mitt Romney or something. I don't know. Excuse me. I'm sorry about that. My water didn't go down the right way. So anyhow, first and foremost, the conferences I'm going to start with. I'm going to start with the Sun Belt Conference, which is probably the lowest tier conference amongst the 11. Right now, it's going to be pretty tough in that conference. Some teams, I don't think a team's going to get higher than 8-4 this year. I really don't. Teams that are considered one of the favorites for this conference. Hold on, there we go. That's better. Arkansas State, Louisiana Lafayette, Florida International are some of the favorites for this conference. Really, whoever comes out of that conference is going to go to the New Orleans Bowl in New Orleans. But it looks like I think that maybe, I think of all those, I think Arkansas State is probably going to be the one that comes out of that conference to win it. So do not be surprised about that. Also, now some of the conferences are going to be pretty much easy. Okay, going to the Mountain West Conference, it's pretty much going to be a no-brainer. Boise State's going to win that conference without a doubt. Though they're not going to go undefeated this year. Their first game this week is going to be against Michigan State over at Michigan State, and the Spartans are going to win that game. I want to get to Michigan State in a little while, but Boise State's not going to go undefeated. They would probably be the best team outside of a BCS conference that would go to a BCS bowl, but it's not going to happen this year. You pretty much have to be undefeated, and Boise State is not going to go undefeated this year. They're going to lose to Michigan State, I think. They're just not. They're not. I mean, this is the first game with a quarterback not named Kellen Moore in 4 years. They're just going to struggle, I think, right off the bat in that game, and I think. But Boise State will still come out of the Mountain West now that TCU is no longer in the Mountain West, so it's not going to be very much of a competition in that conference at all. The WAC, which is the final year of the WAC is just going to go next year. There's a lot of teams are moving out of the WAC because of the domino effect of teams moving from one conference to another. Louisiana Tech won it last year, and they're going to win it again this year, I think. I think they're the better team in that conference. Then that team's going to go be playing in the Poinsettia Bowl, and that's where the WAC champ automatically goes. So Louisiana Tech is going to win that conference. Nobody else really is strong enough in that conference. I just don't see anybody else winning that conference. But now we're going to go. Same thing with the MAC. It's going to come down to two teams in the MAC, the Mid-American Conference, better known as the MAC. It's going to be Western Michigan and Ohio University, not Ohio State. Ohio University, the Bobcats, and Western Michigan are going to be the two teams that are going to be the Chippewas. I'm sorry, that's Central Michigan. I'm sorry. My bad. Central Michigan's the Chippewas. I'm sorry, Western Michigan. I know I forgot you guys are not the Chippewas. I'm sorry about that, Western Michigan fans. But still, Western Michigan and Ohio are going to be duking out for the Mid-American Conference title this year. They're going to be playing in the MAC championship game. So whichever one of those who comes out of that conference is going to whoever wins title gets the conference. A little tough for me to pick on who's going to win that conference between those two schools. One of those two schools is going to win the MAC. Might as well flip a coin on that one. It's either going to be Ohio or Western Michigan. I'm still having a hard time figuring out who comes out of that conference. Conference USA is a little bit tricky on this one, I think. Keep a little eye on SMU. They're still a little bit improving. They were in the Conference USA title game 2 years ago. They're still improving, but But the thing is, two teams stand out. I think it's going to be either Tulsa, because I don't think Houston's as good as they were last year. Case Keenum's gone. I think they're going to struggle a bit. Their head coach went to A&M. Houston's going to struggle. I think Tulsa wins Conference USA West. In the East, I think Southern Miss, they always find a way to do it. Southern Miss always finds a way to do it. They've screwed up the BCS, or the Conference USA from having BCS representative a couple times. They did it to TCU. They did it to Houston last year when TCU was in the Conference USA in 2003. Southern Miss has seen things screwed up. They always find a way to get things done. And what's going to happen is I think Southern Miss ends up coming out of the Conference USA again, though I think Tulsa can give them a run for their money. That's going to, yeah, I think I'm going to have to go with them. They just, that just, I don't know. It's just, I think Southern Miss finds a way. Now, to the big conferences, the Big Six, the BCS conferences. And I'm going to start my way up. I'm going to start with the Big East. I think that's the weakest of them all. And I think it's going to come down to two teams in that conference. The Louisville Cardinals, I think have a decent team this year, but I think a team that has been on the rise and has been on the cusp finally breaks through this year. They've been on the cusp, though I think a team that comes out of the Big East is either going to be 8-4 or 9-3 that goes to a BCS Bowl in the Orange Bowl, more likely going to be the Orange Bowl. And this is would be a unique Orange Bowl, which I think is going to be predicted as well. I think that South Florida, the Bulls, will come out of the Big East. I think they've just been that team that's been on the rise, that have been trying to bust through. Now, notice the Big East champs have not been that great. I mean, other than West Virginia, I mean, you had UConn in a BCS game a couple years ago, and the Big East, ever since Miami's moved out, ever since Virginia Tech moved out, they're not the same conference. They just are not. And I think that South Florida is going to go to Orange Bowl, win that conference, which would be very interesting because in the Atlantic Coast Conference, I think that championship game is going to be very good this year. I think Florida State, Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech is in a the Coastal Division is very favorable for Virginia Tech. Nobody else is really as strong, but Florida State is going to win the Atlantic. They are back. They're back to being a really good team. I think Florida State comes out of the ACC this year. I think they're finally back on the right track where they've been Florida State for many years under Bobby Bowden. Now Jimbo Fisher's got them back. Obviously, for a while, Florida State, they were here, and then they were borderline, and then now they've gotten some good recruiting. They've gotten some good players. They've done better recruiting now, and I think that Florida State is going to win the ACC, which will make them in the Orange Bowl unless they get put in the national title game. I don't think Florida State's going to be in the national title game, but I think Florida State wins the ACC, which automatically puts them in the Orange Bowl, and that'll be very interesting how a school from Tallahassee and a school from Tampa will both be playing in Miami for a BCS Bowl in the Orange Bowl, and that'll be very interesting. I cannot wait to see that happen. I actually am going to be predicting that. It's going to be a very good. It's going to be very good. Now I'm going to go on to the. Which conference do I go to next? We'll go to the Big Ten. We'll go to the Big Ten. And I'll tell you two teams that won't win the Big Ten. Ohio State or Penn State. None of them are bowl eligible. I think Urban Meyer will get Ohio State back on the right track. But Penn State, I just had to bring that in there. Penn State is not going to be that good. It's going to be down to 3 teams in that conference. It's going to come down to Michigan, Michigan State, and Wisconsin. Wisconsin's going to win their division in the Big Ten. They're going to win the Leaders Division. The Legends Division is going to come down to Michigan and Michigan State. Both are very good teams. Michigan State won that conference last year. Or I'm sorry, won that division. Wisconsin won the conference title game last year. But I think Michigan is a team you really got to keep an eye on. Now, they play Alabama this Saturday at Cowboy Stadium. So if Michigan can come out and beat Alabama, this is a big statement if they can do that. Because Michigan can beat Alabama, I think this is a very good statement that they could possibly be playing for the national championship later on. Denard Robinson is one of the most dynamic players in college football. I think Michigan wins the Legends Division. Wisconsin wins the Leaders Division of that. And the Big Ten title game will come down to Michigan and Wisconsin. A very good matchup. But, I mean, Wisconsin's more experienced. They got the best running back in college football, Monty Ball, a Heisman Trophy candidate. He was finalist last year for the Heisman Trophy, and he will be a finalist again this year. He will win the Doak Walker Award for the top running back in college football this year. And Denard Robinson will be a Heisman candidate. They will both be in New York at the end of the year. But I don't think either one of them is going to win the Heisman Trophy. I'll get to that guy in a few minutes. But I think that Michigan wins the Big Ten. I think they are back. They are back better than they had been. They've been on the merge the last couple of years with Denard Robinson, the quarterback. But I think Michigan will win the Big Ten this year. Michigan State's on the cusp. I think both. I mean, the Big Ten might have 2 teams come out in a BCS. Though I think the Pac-12 will have 2 representatives in the BCS this year. The Pac-12 is just going to, they have a lot of good teams in there. There's going to be a lot of teams that win 8 games in the conference, but it's going to come down to 2 teams between the North champ and the South champ. The Pac-12 North is going to be won by Oregon. And they got a new quarterback this year. Michael James, the running back, has gone to the NFL. There'll be a different team than they were the last 2 years, or actually the last 3 years. They've won the Pac-12 the last 3 years, including an appearance in the national championship game 2 years ago when they lost to Auburn. But they're still going to be dominating the Pac-12 North. The Pac-12 South, after not being able to be in a bowl game the last couple of years, and would have been in the Pac-12 championship game last year because they did technically win the Pac-12 South. USC, University of Southern California, will win that division, and USC and Oregon do play each other this year before even that championship game. And I will say this, those 2 teams will be going to BCS bowl games. Though Oregon will end up going to the Rose Bowl because they will fill their Pac-12 commitment to that for that slot for the Rose Bowl. But USC will not only win that conference, they will be in the national championship game. And Matt Barkley will be the 3rd USC quarterback to ever win the Heisman Trophy. And he will be USC's first Heisman Trophy winner since Reggie Bush. Yes, I still count him as Heisman winner. I don't care about the NCAA vacating all that stuff. I saw him win the Heisman on TV. He wins it, blah, blah, blah. Who cares about all that BS that the NCAA does? But USC is definitely they are probably one of the most complete teams in the league in college football. When Matt Barkley decided to come back for his senior year, that put USC national championship favorite this year. And USC will be in the national championship game this year in Miami. So now now I got to tell you about Pac-12. The Big 12, this is going to be very intriguing. 2 teams moving to the Big 12 this year. 2 teams that have been BCS Bowls recently, West Virginia and TCU. And do not underestimate those 2 teams. West Virginia has a very dynamic offense. TCU has college football's best winning percentage the last 4 years in college football. They've only lost 4 games the last 4 years, and are the first non-BCS school to go to BCS Bowls in back-to-back seasons, including a Rose Bowl victory over Wisconsin a couple years ago. And Casey Paulcall set a school record last year for passing yards, more than Davey O'Brien, more than Sammy Baugh, and more than Andy Dalton. TCU, Oklahoma, and Oklahoma is going to come down to that game, I believe. I don't think UT is quite up there yet. I'm not quite sure with David Ash, quarterback. Another Heisman candidate, Landry Jones, the quarterback from Oklahoma. Oklahoma always seems to find a way to get it done in the Big 12. But that game, December 3rd at Amon Carter Stadium between TCU and Oklahoma, I think will be the de facto Big 12 title game. And whoever wins that game will come out of the Big 12. That is going to be a hard-fought, hard-nosed game. Don't underestimate TCU. A couple years ago, in 2005, they did go up to Owen Stadium in Oklahoma and beat OU. So, Oklahoma, TCU. And maybe even West Virginia might be a sleeper team coming up there. I think Oklahoma State and Baylor will still be pretty decent, but I don't think they're going to be up there like they were last year. They lost a lot of players. Both those schools did. Now to the Southeastern Conference. And this is where I can get a lot of feathers ruffled right here. All right. Everybody thinks the SEC is so great. Now, Texas A&M and Missouri joined that conference, but guess what? Neither one of those schools is going to go better than 7-5. A&M is probably going to go 5-7, 6-6 at best. I think they're not ready to play with the big boys. LSU is really hurt now that the Honey Badger, Patrice Mathieu, not playing this year, violated team rules. Alabama's lost Trent Richardson. They've lost some guys in the NFL. This is going to be very interesting. But I'm going to go out on a limb. I think LSU does win the SEC West, the SEC East. I'm going to go with South Carolina. I think they've been on the verge for quite a while. I think Steve Spurrier's done a great job with that program. They won a school record 11 games last year. I love their squad. They have a Heisman candidate running back in Marcus Latimer. I love that defensive end Clowney. I really love him. And I'm going to go out on a limb. I think South Carolina beats LSU to win the SEC. I do. I think the South Carolina Gamecocks win the SEC, though I don't think they're going to be in the national title game. I think the national title game, I want to say Michigan's going to go there, but, if they lose to Alabama, they won't. This could be a tough weekend this would be a tough game. If Michigan can prove, I think for sure USC is going to be in the national title game. It's just hard to pick who the other team is. But I think University of South Carolina is going to come out of the Southeastern Conference and win that conference and go to the first ever BCS Bowl. I'm going out on a limb. I think like I said, I think Matt Barkley wins the Heisman Trophy this year. I think it's his to lose. So this is my quick college football preview. I know a lot of people might agree with me. I know a lot of people might disagree with me. So leave your comments below. Who do you think is going to win each conference? Who do you like in each of the conferences? At least the Big Six conferences. Some of the other mid-majors, I know some people don't always follow those, but I just wanted to do that to be fair. But please leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. And on Saturday, I'm going to preview baseball stretch run. Final month of baseball season is coming up. And I'm going to preview who's in the race, who do we throw a fork in, who's staying in, and who's going to make the playoffs in baseball in this stretch run. So let me know what you think about college football. Also, who do you think is going to win the Heisman Trophy this month? Who do you think is going to win the conferences? If you think you know who's going to be who you think is going to be in the BCS title game, leave that below as well. And tell me who you think is going to win the Heisman Trophy. So don't forget to comment. Don't forget to subscribe. I will see you guys on Saturday with my baseball stretch run preview. Take care.